I'm a biochemist, a dentist, and a photobiologist. And I build, play with, and patent lasers and treat patients with lasers. I've been working for a couple of years on treating bacteria that are completely resistant to antibiotics. And I've figured out a way, invented a laser that can treat the bacteria without burning human tissue. I'm actually working with and funded by a defense contractor. This group in Scotland makes the lasers that they bolt to the bottom of F-35s, and when they target a building, you see a laser hit the building first and then the building blows up with a bomb. These guys make the laser that targets the building, and they're looking to get into medical lasers, so they're looking to have me help them create a medical laser business.
These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise.
I've been a Star Trek fan my entire
To
life.
explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
And I absolutely believe that many of the things I saw Dr. McCoy do and Dr. Crusher do and the things Gene Roddenberry brought to life in Star Trek are what I'm doing now with lasers and bacteria. If you look at Star Trek and Star Trek The Next Generation, just about every instrument they had was a light-based instrument, some type of laser. One of the pieces that I think you took a picture of before is actually from Dr. McCoy's medical kit. It's a toy I bought on eBay from 1975, and I embedded my laser technology in it, so sometimes when I do things, I use my technology actually in Dr. McCoy's laser piece from 1975. I would say I'm probably half Dr. McCoy, half Mr. Spock. I grew up in a family that was not very religious. When it came time for my bar mitzvah, my mother and I were making a list who should come. My great-grandmother was in an old age home, in a nursing home, and she wasn't on the list. And I said to my mother, how come Bubby isn't on the list? She said, oh, Bubby won't travel on the weekend. I said, what does that mean? And she said, she's a very pious woman. She won't get in a car on Saturday. And I said to my mother, well, gee, I think my great-grandmother should be there. And my mother said, well, she's not going to be there. Let's just continue with the list. And I said to my mother at 12 years old, every time we go visit Bubby in the nursing home, there's a temple, there's a shul in the nursing home. If we don't have it there, I'm not doing it. I think she should be there. And from then on, we went and met the Rav of the shul, who was convinced I was serious and sincere, which I absolutely was. And he hooked me up with a local Chabadnik who taught me my bar mitzvah that year. And I had the first bar mitzvah that nursing home had seen in 35 years in the shul, in the nursing home. And my great-grandmother got up and walked down the hall and came to my bar mitzvah. And that was really the start of my trip to becoming Shabbat observant. I finished dental school, came to Borough Park, ended up at Maimonides, where I met my wife. And I met her father. Oliver Shalom was one of the survivors who spent the war in Shanghai. He actually traveled when Hitler was invading Europe. He made his way up to the Siberian Railroad, made his way to Kobe, Japan for a year, and then he made his way with the Mir Yeshiva. He wasn't part of the Mir, but he was staying with the Mir group to Shanghai. He was there with his brother and his brother's wife, and they had a child at the time. His brother got caught coming back into the Jewish compound late one night after curfew looking for food. And the Chinese guards are throwing a pit for a week as punishment. And if you survived, you survived. If you didn't, you didn't. So my father-in-law at the time convinced the Chinese guards to throw him in the pit for the week instead of his brother. So he gets out of the pit a week later. He's been there a week. He won't take food, he won't take water, he'll do nothing until somebody hands him a pair of tefillin. Why? He'd been without his tefillin for a week. He wanted to put them on and say brachos with tefillin before he even took a morsel of food. And I always say they do not make people that strong today in this generation. That generation is just remarkable. My wife and I and family, my 3 children, Noach, Miriam, and Ellie, we all moved to New York in mid-2010. When I met Rabbi Frankel and I saw how just serious and straight he was. And after I met the Chevra and spent a Shabbos there, I didn't look any further. I decided to stay at the Agudath. Shabbos is a wonderful minyan, very quiet, very nice davening. David puts out a very nice spread for Kiddush every Shabbos. When I'm in Scotland, I absolutely stop by the duty-free shops to bring home some single malt for the Chevra and Shul. So we have a great time, and then afterwards, after 10 or 15 minutes of Kiddush and a few single malts and l'chaims, then you sit down and the Rav gives a shiur for 15 minutes. The shiur is great. The Rav talks about all kinds of business issues, some of the most interesting and esoteric issues. Everybody should come have a l'chaim or two and stay for the shiur. On behalf of my wife Rachel, my 3 children, Noach, Miriam, and Eliyahu, and myself, I want to say thank you very much for coming. Thank you for the honor, and let's all have a happy, healthy year.